thought I would bring you along on the planning of a hybrid page that I'm going to do. When I did my Q&A video, there was one question that I forgot to address. I had it printed out and I just didn't see it. So this little video is an attempt to right that wrong. And I thought if you do hybrid, you know, you may already know all of this. And if you don't and you're interested in it, this may help. So the impetus for my page today is this a cherry on top sketch challenge. I want to start building up my gallery over there. I have a gallery on scrapbook.com. And I thought, what better way than to start with their challenges? And so today I'm starting with the sketch. I've shared before that sometimes you start with a collection or a product or a story, or sometimes you start with a class assignment or a challenge or a sketch. And so this is where we're starting today, is with this sketch. It's very simple. I've shared in a page maps video how to extrapolate. If this is 4 inches, what's this and what's this and this. And through that math, I derived that this is 4 by 12 inches, and this is 4 1/4 by 8 inches, and this is then 7 3/4 by 8 inches. So that's kind of the measurements for the paper. And so let's go into, I want to start with Trello. So this right here, this is my photo app, and I've got it open next to Trello, and Trello's right here. And I've shared before that sometimes I log a story in that I know I want to tell, and sometimes I log it in as I tell it. Well, since my Q&A video screen recording, I've actually created a whole Disney board. And it's not a board, I'm sorry. This is a board. This is a card. And this is a card. And this is a card. And so within this card, I've got these lists going. And so right here is an older list, and right here's an older list. And I've not worked in this, but I just kind of set up the structure. So what I want to do is I'm going to start a checklist, and it's going to be called Epcot Stories to Tell. I'm not copying from anywhere. I'm just adding it. And so right here, I know my topic for my photo. And it's driven by, we went to, let me just go ahead and go to favorites. Let me come over here and go to favorites. We went to Epcot to the Flower and Garden Festival in 2025. And they took this magic, it's called a magic shop, but it's called Tiny World. And I just thought it was hysterical because our son is like 6'1", and he just like towers over us. And so I knew that I wanted to scrap this photo. And so this is the picture. And so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say 04-25, and that's the month and the year, 2 digits. And then I'm going to do Tiny World shot in front of Spaceship Earth. Okay? Now, I'm not going to mark it as done yet because I won't do that until I actually log a completed layout. But I thought you could see how to start a checklist and how to add an item. And I'm not going to add anything else right now because I don't want to gum this up. But you can see now this changed. I've told 0 of 1 stories. I have a then and now that I want to do, and it's related to this same trip. And then I can come right here and I want to do 2005 versus 2025 trips. And it has to do with the fact that this right here was marking 20 years of Disney trips. Now, we took the boys to Disneyland before Walt Disney World, but we waited until they were old enough to walk around Walt Disney World. So in real life, I've got this photo that I selected, and it's a Groot topiary related to Flower and Garden Festival. It's only out during the Flower and Garden Festival. And then this. And these photos are printed out in front of me. And I didn't create any album for this or anything. I just went and looked at the dates. And I'll tell you another way I search for photos that Disney takes is I'll go in and I'll enter Nikon, and I know that any photo shot with a Nikon is a photo that a Disney photographer took. So that's in the little search bar up here. So I type Nikon and I click on the most recent model if that's what I'm looking for, and you can see this is a picture from a cruise. So that's a fast way for me to find a Disney photo if I haven't triaged it yet or done anything with it. So once I saw this and I knew I was looking at 4/25/25, you can go look at that date if you want to see photos that you took. But that's just a little insight into how I found this photo, how I looked for it. I do have albums for Disney. Oh, right here. And you can see that some of these are smart albums based off keywords. And man, that's a topic for a whole other day. And we're not going to dive into that. So I can minimize this on Trello. I'll just show you this. I have a picture here as an image, and I added this file right here. But I do not bring my photos into Trello. This is just like a big digital notepad for me. Okay, so back to my sketch. I've got my sketch, and I know that I want to use Kellybell Designs for this. I had bought this adorable kit, Fun Flower Festival mini kit, and I want to use these elements. But when you're printing out your own elements, you kind of need to have a plan. And so that's where the next part of the video is going to take us. I'm going to minimize this. I'm just going to come here. Okay, so this right here is my print and cut mat that I'm starting. And as I identify items over here that I want to work into my page, and here's my sketch, then I'm going to bring it over here. This second mat here is a standard 12x12 mat, and it's going to allow me to size my photos. So I'll stay here on this. This is a 4x6, and how you would, grab it is you just would do Control-C on a PC or Command-C on a Mac, and you can come and paste it in, and it's going to be really big. So to get that down to size, you just decrease your mat, and then you get it to the size you want, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and then you can zoom back in on your mat. Now on this side over here of my mat, I've opened and brought in all 5 of the papers in the mini kit, which is this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And if you wanted to see more of one, what I did, bring to front, send to back. And so that's how you control what you're seeing. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going on this plan, but I did want to see all my papers. Now this paper right here is an orange bird paper, and well, let me bring it to front. It's not, well, it's pretty close. It's not identical, but it does match that orange. And the reason why I brought it in is as an alternate to the yellow, that's right here because that seems so faint. So I'm going to send that to the back. And I also brought it in because 5 papers isn't a whole lot. I mean, I only need 3, but you know I'm not going to just use 3. So like, for instance, I could use this as a mat. I could print that as a mat. That would be kind of fun. I could print this as a mat for the whole page. And I'm strongly considering that. The only reason why I would hesitate on it is because I don't want to burn the ink to cover it all up. But I'm trying to noodle on how I could crop this. Now, I have a 12 by 12 format printer, but I don't have Photoshop Elements. If I had Photoshop Elements, I could go in and, virtually gut this and then only print the edge. So I'm still thinking about how, oh, you know what? The thought just came to me. So when I go to print, this is going to be bonus content. Let's see, 12 by 12. I'm just going to go ahead. This is a 12 by 12 document that I have, and I can delete this. Spoiler alert, that's for another video. Let's see. I just did Control C for copy paste. So when you bring it in, it's not the same as your 12 by 12. Okay, so what I'm thinking I can do is I can do a text box. And I want to fill. Okay, so I'm going to this fill, and I want to do a color fill. And I can do white. Voila! I just solved my own problem while I was thinking about it. That'd be perfect. Okay, so this is 100% the way I'm going to go on my page. Now, you know when I gut, like, in all honesty, probably only about a 1/4 inch of this will show, or maybe 3/8. I like 3/8 a lot. I like 5/8. But, oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so we just figured that out together, and I'm going to minimize that because I'll print from that. And, oh, I don't want to keep that. And let's come back to this. Okay, so now that I kind of have that decision made, now that I know I know how to do it, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do on my page design is I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to send it back. And so my pictures pop up. Now, let's enlarge this a little. So now it becomes, what do I want to see on top of this? And how does it interact with my colors in my photos? I'm thinking that this floral would be a good idea for over here because I don't want this floral right up against the floral in the picture. And so let's see. This is where it's going to get a little tricky, but I'm going to I need to move this down so I can see my guidelines. So this is 4 inches. So that's how much of that would show. And so on a Mac, you can do a screenshot. And so what I'm going to do, I'm probably being too precise on this, but I'm going to do Command Shift 4, and I'm going to do a screenshot right here. Now it's going to have these lines in it, but that doesn't really matter. And so now I have a new image on my desktop. And if I drag this to the 12, then that is what it would look like. Okay, so now my picture's covered up, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say bring to front. Okay, so see how we're building a page? Oh, but you know what? I need to do this a little because we're going to show that outside. I'm liking it. Okay, and so the next thing, I like this paper a lot, but I struggle with the idea of it up against, how does it look? See, I can't do that because the diagonal here goes with that diagonal. So that's no good. The blue, I like the blue, but I don't want the blue under this. So that means this blue could work up at the top. Here's our impetus for our design. And so this measures, based on doing the math like I've shared, this measures at 4¼ by 8. Let's just, instead of moving that, let's just open another mat. I'm sorry, I'm getting email notifications. Okay, so I need 4¼ by 8. So I'm going to do another screenshot. So I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm guessing on 1/4. And then I'm going to come over 8. And that's about right on that. So now let me go to my desktop and grab that. And I'm just going to come to the edge like so. And then I need to bring this back to the front. Now, one thing that could help me deal with the disparity between this blue and this aqua is if I have a photo mat. And so that's probably going to be a great factor in a photo mat. And so now I need one more piece of paper for this. And that's why I brought in the orange, because like what I have left is the yellow. And I'm just not crazy about it. Yeah. So I want something in the green family or maybe a different blue. So I'm going to pause this recording and I'm going to go look at my papers and see if I can find something that works. Okay, so I'm back and I brought in 4 more pieces of paper, and I left this one large because I wanted you to see it comes in like 25 by 25. And so I'm just grabbing a corner and dragging it until it's close to 12 by 12. I'm not printing out of this, so it doesn't need to be exact, but these are the 4 papers that I've got. Since we've already used this one, I'm going to drag it out of the way. I'm going to drag this one out of the way, and let's enlarge and let's see what these look like. These are all Kellybell papers from other kits. So this orange here, I like it because it's a little dot. It's kind of simple. We don't have any orange in our photos, but it's a good candidate because of the scale. And there's a little bit of, orange in that. And there's orange over here. So this one could work. I'm going to set it right here. This is a yellow. And already right away, I don't like it up against that aqua, I can tell. I also don't like, for me, for this project, I don't like how big the pattern is. Now, since I'm printing my own paper, I could totally scale it down. That's the wonderful thing about working with these elements. You control the size and the scale of everything. And so you can see, for me, as the dots get closer together, it could work, but I like this one better. And then the last one that I grabbed is the Spaceship Earth. I thought as a neutral, I don't know, but I like that it marries that. And so I've got a good idea. I don't have to decide this right this second because I'm not printing, I'm just designing. But what I do want to do is I want to snip both of these two like I did here, and I want to get the right size paper in here. So I'm going to do Control C on a Mac, come over here, paste it, and this piece of paper per my sketch math is 7.75 by 8. So I'm going to do a screenshot, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about it right there. And then I'm going to grab this one. And this is just, I mean, this is just all design. You could totally print all this out and, you know, design on the fly. But what I found is that when I'm going to go to the expense of printing it, I don't want to waste anything. You know, I've said I don't want spending money. I don't like wasting it. Okay, I think that's about the size I need. Okay, so I can move this over. I can move this over. Let me go grab those two snips. That's one thing I love about a Mac is that you can do screenshots so easy. You might can do them easily in a PC. I just didn't know that when I worked on a PC. Okay. And so we need to stretch it. Well, we can't see it there to stretch it, so. I didn't snip it right, but that's okay because I can say here, bring to front, and then I can come back here and say bring to front. So this is what it would look like if I used these papers. And so honestly, at this point right here, I would do Command Shift 3, do a whole screenshot. I've got this down here. I can ponder it and think about it. Now I can move this out of the way, and I can bring this one in. Oh, you know why my snip measurements were wrong? Because I wasn't allowing for this border. That's why these are a little too big, which is not a problem. And this would look like this. And that's what this one would look like. And that's why we defer the decision. So I'll snip that. And then let's go back to our sketch, and we need to work on our title. And so our title would go right about here. And it's something I'm going to print. So I need to go back to my Kellybell Designs. And I had looked at her page starters. And so I've got a more horizontal space, and these are the page starters. This is cute, but it wouldn't work unless I eliminated this photo, which I don't want to do that. And mainly because I don't want to lay out with just one photo on it. You know, that's just kind of, so if I go horizontal, Blooms of the World, Topiary Disney, this one makes the most sense because this picture isn't showing any blooms. I mean, only the flowers that are in there are the ones that are floating. So I want to try this one, so I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it in, and it's humongous. So I need to zoom out again, zoom out, and this matters because this is the size I want. So whereas I'm not printing my paper over here, I am going to print this. So let's zoom back in. And that's still really big, but I'm going to bring this to the front because it's going to overlay my pictures, and that's still too big. I don't really want to cover the real Spaceship Earth, and I don't want to cover Groot. I don't like that this is at a tilt, so when I applied it, I would lay it down like that. So that's looking about the right size, okay? So this shows 3 inches tall by 4. I'm going to get it just a little bit smaller because it's just an element. Okay, so I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to come over here. This is my mat that I'm actually going to print out of, and it retained its size, and I can go right down here. I was thinking about this guy, but it would have to be really small to fit on there. Let's see if we can make it work. Bring to front. But like I say, you pay your dues up front on this, and then your page will come together quickly. So if you think about the fact that I need to build a triangle, this is a good anchor element. And I could do journal strips right in here. I need to be careful of that. I don't like a trapped white space. So more than likely what I would do is run my journal strips here. If you go back to the sketch, they've got some little layers here and here. So that's their triangle. I like this size. Let me come back, paste it on the mat. I can straighten it up. Now, this mat, if you've never worked with this before, you want to come to your mat, and your media size on this you want to show as letter. The default is going to be, see it says auto, is 12. But if you want to print on a letter size piece of paper, then you want to change it to letter. And then to get these registration marks, which is what the Cameo scans to know where to cut, you're going to come to this print and cut box and enable registration marks. So that's how you would get that, the registration marks going. Okay, so let's go back to our page design. I'm liking the idea of journal strips here. Let's see what else we have in the kit. I wanted to look at the journal cards because I wanted to maybe print one and cut it for some layering. So here are the cards. I'm gonna close this out. Okay, and this would be a repetition of my stripe. I only would want a little bit of it there. Maybe this one. Let me open this up. And I will say on this, if you're in the Kellybell, I Love Kellybell Facebook group, the designers post free elements there frequently. Like this is free, and this is free, and they go with the kits. Here we go. I'm going to open up this one. And I think, oh, I don't need to resize that here. I need to copy it. And I would print it really small, and I'm going to duplicate it. I want to see what it would look like over here behind. I want to rotate it a little, do that, and then I want to bring my photo back to the front. You know what? If I brought it down here and married it up with that, and then you could do a little flower there, that might work. Then here, I'm going to tilt this and bring it in right here. I'm not sold on it. I'm going to pause recording so I can look at these. I don't want to break any rules by showing everything on the screen. Okay, so I'm back and I've pulled in a bunch of elements, and I also did a little snip of this grass to see what it would look like behind the pictures. And I kind of like it, so that might be a good candidate. I've still got these showing here, but let me zoom out a little bit and you can see everything I brought in. And they come in really big, which is why I didn't do it on screen. So I've got this water bucket that's in my title, and I've got this green Spaceship Earth that's in my title. This star is in my title. I brought them in to see if I could replicate them and add some depth to the title. And here's the purple star that's also in the title. I grabbed 2 flares, and I grabbed 2 washi ribbons. And this isn't flare, this is a sentiment strip. And then I grabbed this little flare, and then I grabbed this cluster, and I grabbed the sun, which isn't anywhere, but it could work. And then I grabbed this. So now I still haven't fully decided on the paper. I'm leaning away from the orange. What I realized is I brought in that other yellow, but I don't think I ever tried it out. I think for the colors and everything, I am leaning more toward the yellow. So I grabbed these because I wanted to see how they would look if I used them as like a little element on this seam here. And I've got them sized. This is when it starts getting tricky. I'm going to say bring to front. You know, we can just do this to get an idea. And I kind of like that. Okay, I grabbed this little cluster. I was thinking it could work over here, and it would be fun to repeat some little icons. Could do like that. That's pretty cute. So would I want it just a tad smaller? Maybe. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to take it to my printing surface. This is things that we want to print. And then coming back to design, I want to go down. I don't know how much more to keep filming on this. I mean, this could be really long. But, you know, Lisa at Life and Layouts is how I found Kellybell, and she uses the knife feature, and she has a video. She has a flower and garden layout, but I just use the eraser mainly because I'm not very skilled at the knife, and I want this little Mickey badly. So let's see. So what I'm working on now is the sizing of it. So I would rotate it a little, and it would be pretty cute coming out from behind that layer right there. Okay. So it's a constant zoom in to see it up close, and then zoom out to make sure your scale is going okay. So this would be, I'm kind of thinking it would serve more as a title than this. This is just a cluster. I mean, it says flower and garden there, but it's so small. So I like this. I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to copy it and put it on my printing mat. And then here you're just spacing them around so that you're getting the most of your printed surface, but also you have to save room for some offset, because when I go to cut these, I'll do a little white offset. And back to Lisa at Life and Layout, she has a ton of tutorials on her page. She's probably a little more proficient at this than I am, and so I'll link her Kellybell tutorial videos in the comments. I can resize this over here to make it easy. So what I'm wanting to do is replicate this so I can layer, okay? So I want it to print the same size as the one on here, and I'm just going to drag it until I need to tilt it a little. And you can see I need to tilt it a little more, and then I need to reduce the size of it. Okay. And on this, it would be something where I would want to repeat it and maybe put it in a smaller scale. I would do the same thing for this turquoise star and this little, well, here you could put that little Mickey again. I would choose to repeat that over you would want it big enough that it covered up the heart. It needs to be a little bit bigger. That's pretty cute. And then I also have this turquoise star. So big. And this needs to go little. That's the size of that. I would duplicate it to get some repetition around the page. Make them different sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I need to grab the flower bucket. This one would be hard to layer, actually. You would have to use an X-Acto knife to cut all of that. I'm not going to do that. I may print it as an element to add maybe down in here. And you can flip it so that it's going the other direction of this. Now, I mean, like your light changes, but I don't think that's the end of the world. Let me just test the size. That's really the key, is you have to know, well, you know what, I can't put yellow on yellow. I could put it over here though. So that would mean I would want to flip it back. So this is the size that I want it. So I'm going to paste it over here. I'm actually going to reduce it just a little. I kind of always think, you know, if you think you know what size it is, then make it a little smaller. Okay. Now we've got, I can delete this because I've got it on the other page. And let's look at these little, I liked this. And I think if you go like a quarter tall on these, I think that's kind of the, that works. Copy, paste, and then this yellow one. I liked this one because I really was so happy that we were there marking 20 years of going. And this I'll figure out where I want to put it after it's printed. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to reduce it to where it's the same height as that one. Yeah. Okay, this little frame I thought could be a different element to put out, to put underneath as the layering element. Then if I take that away, so I would print one of these and I could cut it in half, and I would print one of these and I could cut it in half. And that is the size I want it. And then this, I need to bring that over here, and I want it like this. So I'll have to work around all of this to get it to fit on one page. And then the last thing I have is this. You know what? I mean, I could probably make it fit over here, so we can grab it. Okay, so that is basically how you would design something in Silhouette to then turn around and cut. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to pause and think about this paper because it could affect my little elements, and then I'm going to come over here and clean this up, and then I'll come back and start recording again. Okay, so I've got them cleaned up spatially some. I did have this little guy buried on top of this, so I'm glad I thought to drag it over. And then I duplicated it and made one just a little bit larger. That'll give me 3 on the page because just like the stars, you're kind of looking for some repetition. So, and you know, I might need one more purple one. Let's see if we can fit that in right about here. That should work. And right here, I'm gonna, that's the one that is for just some repetition, and I'm going to just scooch this one up a little bit more. So this is the point when you're looking at, if I do an offset, is anything gonna bump up? I can scoot that over just a little. I think I'm good on everything. And so from this point on, once you print, you can't move anything on this page. So before we print, let's make sure our offset works. So I'm going to go to Edit, Select All, and I'm going to come over here to this Offset button, and I'm going to say Offset. I want it square corners, and I've got it at 0.02. Let me bump it up a little bit. Okay, that looks a little better. And so I'm going to hit apply, and then you can kind of grab one and just, you know, you want to hit undo if you move it. But I think that's about the margin that I want. That's odd. I'll probably just let it go, and then I can straighten it up with my scissors. I'm not going to try and fix that. Same thing is happening up here. There must be something in the image I'm not seeing. These come over as PNGs, and I love this little Mickey. Okay, so now I know my offset's going to work, and you can see here on this, it's going to cut it out as a frame. So then I'm going to do Command Z or Control Z if you're on a PC to revert that back. And now we're going to go print page setup. I have a default setting. I'm walking you through this. I am going to print this on my 8550. You could print it, this will print on letter. And my paper size is letter. That's good. Scaling 100%, that's good. And then here, I'm going to go to print. So here's the registration mark that the little Cameo eye is going to look for. And all of my margins are inside. And so I'm going to go to print, and it's going to pop up my printer window, and I'm going to say 8550, and I don't even have this turned on yet, but I'm just showing you. I have default settings for print and cut best, and that is in my media. I'm feeding it from the rear tray. It's cardstock, and I want the best quality. And so I'm going to print it now, and then I'll walk you through how to cut it.
I'm going to drop this in between a couple of screen recordings because when I go to do my process video, this will already be cut, but I wanted you to see what it's like uncut, and it's a letter size piece of paper, and the colors are a little different than on screen, but that's okay because they all change consistently. And if I'm honest, I like this color a little bit better, and this one's a little more muted. So here we go. And what I'll do next is load it up on the mat, and I'll send it to do the outline cut. Here is my print and cut matted onto my 12 by 12 Cameo, and I try to get it lined up, but it's going to work off of this registration mark, so no worries.
You just saw a real live video of me holding the print and cut in my hand, and so the next step is to put it on a mat. And we've already created our offset so that we know it's going to print. Now here's the deal. If I send it just as it is, it's going to bring in the outline from all of the little elements. And so you're going to get a double cut, and you do not want that. So going back to the design, well, you either have a choice here is to manually select all of the little lines that you don't want it to cut. I'm not comfortable with that because I'm never certain I got them all. So what you can do here is just grab all of the elements in one fell swoop. I want to say right here, I had meant to duplicate this to layer. So I'm going to get to come back and print again, but that's okay. I mean, it wouldn't have fit on here anyway. So that's what that's there to remind me of. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to click on every little element. I just go down in order, and then I'm just going to drag them over. And so now what you see are the outlines that are going to cut. I don't think I want this to try and cut right here, so I'm going to grab my eraser, and I'm going to put my eraser right there. We already decided we were just going to let the bumpy stars ride. This is also where you can check and make sure none of your cut lines are overlapping. And this one is going to go off the page a little, but it's okay because then I can just tuck that side under. If you wanted to fix that, you would have to reprint everything, and I am cheap on printing. So I'm just doing one more check and making sure there's no internal little cuts that I need to eliminate. And at this point, you don't have to worry about getting it exactly placed on your mat because that registration mark is what tells the printer where to start cutting. Okay, so we're going to hit send. You can see all of your edges that it's going to cut. It looks great. On your settings, I go for textured cardstock, and honestly, I'll bump it up because I don't want any missteps. I mean, I've gone through all of this so far. I'm not going to do 2 passes because I print on presentation paper, and it's not as thick as, say, basil, but I just want to make sure it's going to cut great and I don't have to worry about refeeding it because the Cameo 4 doesn't have a repeat job button. Okay, so everything's ready. I'm going to hit send, and this is when you cross all your fingers and toes. That looks like it might be a little close too. And that's that little cluster. I'm not afraid of doing a little cleanup with my scissors, and you can probably hear my Cameo in the background. I'm going to stop well, let me go back to this. So now, if I want to save this, I can do undo, 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 undo. I'm doing this until my items come back over here. Okay, so then I'll just do file, save as, save to library, and I'm going to do, of course it's, on the new software, it doesn't keep you logged in, and I don't like that. And except for this little guy, which I'll deal with off screen, this should be ready to go for my layout. And so the next thing I would do would be to print my papers, and this I'll print. I have a 12 by 12 printer. I know I'm fortunate for that. And I would just say I want to print range 1 to 1. I don't want that to print, so I delete that and come back 1 to 1. So this is ready to print. And what I actually thought about doing, because I'm so cheap, is I can paste some of those smaller pieces of paper into here, and then this would be a true gut, because I wouldn't be wasting the middle of it. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. It does seem a little bit cheap, but on the other hand, everything costs more now. I'll just show you real quick how I did this. I am going to use this yellow on the bottom. I made that decision when I was cleaning up the print and cut mat. And so I brought this in, sized it to 12 by 12, and I brought it down to where I could see the ruler lines. And so I just did on mine, it's Command Shift 4, and I just started here, and I came over to where it's 8 by 8 square. Okay, so just a little bit like that. I got a screenshot of it, and it's right here. And then I went back to my 12 by 12 format where I've got my stripe ready to go. And if I highlight this right here, it did come over a little bit more. I wanted to try and get even cutoffs on this design element, so it's a little bit more. And I'm truly gonna print this inside this. So I'm just gonna print one, and then when it prints out, I'll do this on the other camera. When it prints out, I'm gonna gut it. And the main reason why I do that is because this large paper, there's no sense wasting it, and I've got the junky cardstock I can put behind. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'll repeat the process on the stripe. Where's my page? I'll repeat the process on this stripe and this floral. And then surprise, I'm bringing in Spaceship Earth. So I decided to get rid of the blue paper. I honestly love this little Spaceship Earth paper, and it's perfect. So I'm excited to use that, and we're going to finish up the computer part of this, and we're going to get hands-on in just a second.
Okay, so here's the culmination of all of our design work. And remember, this is the one that was on the edge. Oh, y'all, I just love this. And this one was too. For purposes of this, I'll get my good scissors and clean it up. And where's this little guy? So see, you can see at this point, when I go to put my page together, it's really just going to be about putting adhesive down and letting it, rip, because we've got everything ready to go. Oh, it's so cute. And look at this. Yes. Okay. So I hope that me showing you this behind the scenes footage of print and cut was helpful, and I'm not sure, I'll probably partition this out into its own video, so this will be part of the process video for this page, but I'm probably also going to put it as some standalone footage for people that just want that. And so what I'll say now, as always, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.